So I've spent a lot of time here on the jCraft server, and the end of the year is coming soon. It is December 31st. It is 6 o'clock at the time of this recording, and I really want the year to go off with a bang. And I can't think of a better way than to start off with celebrating with some fireworks. I've got a display planned, but I don't really have a good place to put it in my base. My base is kind of a general mess. I have a couple buildings over here. I have a couple of very ugly buildings over there, and I have this unfinished project over here. So celebrating fireworks doesn't really make sense to do it here. So I want to take up this project and I want to take it somewhere else where it's going to make up a lot more sense. Thanks to Jay, I now have access to a bunch of feathers. These feathers are going to come in handy for a lot of fireworks. I want to create some very simple fireworks, and these actually burst with the least amount of particles. So these are perfect to have in large quantities. We've also got some fire charges from my bartering hall, as well as some wither skeleton skulls for the mob head, and we've got some cooked chicken to last us a little bit in case we get hungry while this project begins. Thanks, Jay. I appreciate it a lot. I think the best place for this fireworks display is going to be in Jay's space. There's a lot going on here, and I've already done some testing and setting up, and this open area surrounded by a bunch of buildings is perfect to hide a bunch of fireworks and have them fire off high in the sky. So I've already got a couple of circuits already set up. The first one's going to be on top of the smokestack, and these are all going to be independent fireworks, but this is for the finale. So this is going to have 12 dispensers firing off fireworks pretty quickly as well. The second display is set over here on top of the roof, and this is just a close-up display. This should match very well and in part with the one that is back here. This one is to launch fireworks as far forward as I can get them while still making them part of the display. And this seems to be the right spot because as soon as you get them up there, they're going to take off that way. As well as having a couple of blocks right here, we should be able to hide some fireworks right here and get them to fire off in that direction as well. I've got a couple more to set up, and I want to set some up over here on top of the manufactory building and on top of the nether wart farm because these are some of the highest points, but they all still have a central focus around the fountain. So this fountain is going to be the central point to everything here, meaning that we can look at different parts of this as the display goes off, and then when everything's going off, it should be very beautiful. I don't plan to do too much because if I change too much of his island, I will probably start seeing mobs spawn here, and I want to try to avoid that. So I hope that I don't have any mobs spawning here while I'm making all of this stuff. So I've got my storage system planned out and everything should be done now. I'm about to build that, but I did put the map back up and there's a lot here that I'm really happy with. I mean, there's a lot of space here and I think I've got a project I'm going to put way down here, but it's actually so massive. It's going to go down past this map because down past this map there's actually the raid farm. Oh, that pig scared me. But down here, the raid farm is one map lower, so I might end up tearing it down because we don't need it anymore, but it's the only place I get totems from. I'll have to weigh my options with that, but I really have 34 boxes already. probably won't need some for a very long time. I also AFK'd at the ice farm and grabbed 3 boxes so I can get some packed ice here, but I did end up dying. I wasn't eating food, so I starved to death within 40 minutes. That's fun. So this is the other village I have beyond my map, and I don't know, this is some pretty variable terrain. I feel like if I made something here this big, it might look out of place. I'd have to do a lot of checking with it, but this is actually pretty flat right here. If I had this at the river height, that would be amazing. Let me see what happens if I were to do that. Unfortunately, I think the ocean is going to be the best place to build this. This is the raid farm I built a long time ago by Rayworks, and I think it's going to be best if I put it behind it. I'm not happy about this because I really wanted to put this on a map somewhere, but I might just have to make a locational map for it as well. But it is huge. I'll just let you guys decide for yourself. It's pretty big. This is my giant kelp farm. I've had a lot of help from Jay with this, as well as a few suggestions for simple ideas that have made this pretty efficient, and I like this a lot, and I want to make this because we plan to make a giant furnace array at some point, and I know that if we were to use it a lot, it wouldn't be a lot of fun at all if we had to deal with breaking down coal or using coal blocks or even using lava buckets, depending on what we felt like doing. I really don't feel like any of those options are truly viable. So I want to use kelp blocks for the furnace fuel, as well as producing enough of it to make a decent amount of the actual kelp blocks per hour. And this should do about 15,000, maybe 18,000, but 15,000, I believe, dried kelp blocks an hour, but it'll produce 175,000 kelp an hour after the first harvest. Due to the way the farm works, if I were to load this just for a few minutes before I turn it on, or right when I left, depending on how you use this, the kelp will grow before you've left the area just a little bit, and this adds up a lot. There are 96 plantations per single block strip on both sides, meaning that there is just a lot of kelp being planted and harvested from this thing. It is insane. And I can't wait to start this project, but I'm pretty sure this project's going to take more than just a single episode. So I'm going to start it now. I'm going to see about how far I can get into it. But first, I've got to grab a lot of materials. The material list for this is pretty insane alone. So let's see what we've got real quick. I'm going to go land on this little, we have a little island over here or something. Oh, hey, we got an ocean monument. That's pretty neat. But the material list is 83,000. Almost 50 shulker boxes of dark prismarine, 35 shulker boxes of fence gates, 25 shulker boxes of glass, and a decent amount of other blocks as well. This is going to take a while to get this much of. I should have most of that packed ice right now. No, I don't. I don't have 2 shulker boxes of it. I'll AFK the ice farm for a while for that. And then the rest of this is pretty minimal. I've got pretty much most of this already, or I can make it in a moment. So yeah, this is going to take a little bit of prep work, as well as the water alone being, almost 500,000 blocks right there. Then I need to place that much kelp for the, if the entire farm is full, that's what that would be. Yeah, it's a lot. Well, there's nothing like the present. Better get started. So I've got the first part of this built here, and I'm actually really happy with this. This is going to be the batcher and the shulker unloader. And it's very simple on what's going to happen. So down here, we've got 2 machines. We've got the unloader right here, which I've used many, many times before. So I'm going to pretty much skip that. And then we have this configurable batcher over here, item grouper, however you'd like to call it, from Rapscallion. There's a little bit of redstone down here, and this is where most of the configurability comes from. So I have 20 items in this hopper, which means that it will batch items in 20. If I put 25 in there, it'll batch them in 25, 32, so on. But it can only go to 64, so there's not really much of a point going past that because then you're just stacking items in stacks, and that's virtually pointless. But it allows me to configure the hopper speed. So if I want to sort 20 items, which that 22, 23 is really the range you want to go for, but I'd like it to send just a little bit faster than that. So 20 is where I'm going with that. So it'll just group the items here and then spit them in the water stream. So to test this, I have 3 stacks of smooth stone in 3 different boxes. If everything goes as planned, I should see 3 shulker boxes in the shulker box storage here. And then I should see 3 stacks up top, which I'll go and collect myself. I don't have them sorted. I don't need to sort this, but I have to test it with something, right? So let's see if it breaks. Alright, so the shulker boxes seem to be working. Oh, right, okay. I did mess something up. So I'm supposed to have a trapdoor on top of that, and I never put it in there. Yeah, you gotta have that trapdoor. That's important. That's part of the entire... Like, that's required. Okay, that explains why I didn't have all my items going through there. Just missed a single block. So I should be able to just find out what direction this is facing. Yep, there's that trapdoor I missed. And east. Northeast. There we go. That's all I gotta do. So let's send a stack of items through here. And I want to stand... I can't collect that. I've got 5 extra pieces here. So I should see 33 come now. There we go. Okay, that's looking really good. So I'm thinking a little bit about this, and I don't think 20 is the way to go. 20 is not really that divisible into a box. It probably is, but if I don't send a full box, I'd rather get as close to stacking this as possible, and I think I want to turn this down to stacks of 16. So right when this is... Yep, there we go. I just think 16 is a better number. 20 was to get a higher stack count, but I don't need that as much as I need it to be divisible of a full box. The last thing I've got to do here is I need to get this multi-item sorter built in. I've got 8 modules of the 2 tall variant J made. I really like the way they work, so it's time to build that up, and I'm not sure I'm going to like this very much, because this thing is... It's a little on the complicated side with the redstone. Just, I'll have to build it layer by layer, but he's made it pretty accessible, so I'm really happy about that too. So this should be pretty easy to handle. So I'm getting tired of waiting for the shulker box of beacons Jay said he was going to give to me, and I don't know why. I'm a little confused because I only helped him remove his school, like the kind person that I am. And I felt like I should have gotten those beacons. But I'm growing a little tired of that, and I wrote him a little book. But I'm not going to read it right now. I will read this after he has read this on his video. But I don't think he's going to miss this. I think he's going to notice this. I want my beacons back, Jay. Give me my beacons. Storage is now complete, and I'm actually really happy about this. This is going to be... I still need to set up the filters, but this is going to be the start of sorting everything I have right now. And I should have enough items to use just a few of these slots up front, and then I should be able to use about a quarter of this right away. I've been looking at the creative schematic I have here, and I sorted stuff in a weird way in some spots, so I don't think I'm necessarily going to start sorting boxes right away. Like grass, I don't have a lot of grass. It would make sense to put it over here, because worst case scenario, I can actually sort it out as dirt, and so on and so forth. A lot of this stuff might not make sense to have it in this order, and I might not even have enough of it to start sorting it. The worst case I could have here is that I just take all the boxes, move them a few slices over, and then reset the system that way. And I think that's going to be just fine. So that way I can actually start sorting most of the stuff I have a lot of, and then I could start stocking stuff from the Obsidian Bank and bring it here so that we can use those farms again and restock the bank as well. But the multi-item sorter back here is actually, it was not fun, but it wasn't as bad as I was expecting, and it only took about 2 hours, but I have 16 of them, I think. 16 of these, and they are, well, once you get past all the redstone behind them, they're actually not that bad, and they maintain themselves in the long run. So I will be able to sort out most of the items I have in bulk quantity in the first half. And I think I'm going to put the first half to actually be colored items, glass, concrete, stuff like that. I think that's going to work well. And then the other half is going to be a lot of the woods, farmables, stuff like that. I have no idea what I'm going to use, but I haven't finished setting up the filters on this either, so I've still got a little bit of work left to go, but I definitely think I'm getting close. I need to fill all of these chests with the items I want to sort, and then maybe a half stack, 8, 16 items, or whatever I'd like to put in here. This doesn't have a comparator off of it, so it doesn't matter how full the slot is, which is really nice, but the rest of these slots need to have something in them. So I've got to figure that out as well. And then each hopper that's below one of these chests has to have 64, 48, and then 2. You've got to fill it with this signal strength. I don't know what that signal strength is. Maybe it's 5. I want to bet it's 5. And then I had to set up the top system up here. This is not easy to traverse, but yep, bye. The top was actually really easy. You just have to get a single item on this side. So I've got just a single nugget. And then you just need unstackable over here and an unstackable over here. So that was really easy to set up. And what this will do, this actually detects if there are multiple items going through the system. When an item goes through the first slot of this, it's actually able to pass right through it. But there's a delay in here to where 2 items sit here. So I would have 2 items sitting on top of this until it was done, meaning that the next item that's actually behind it would take a moment to get into the slot, giving the entire rest of the system enough time to check each slice as items pass through if it can be sorted. That is the gate, and it's virtually hopper speed, but that momentary tick downwards is like an item or 2, and you can still sort out a lot of items an hour with that. And it is variable, so it's still basically hopper speed, and I love it a lot. So I'm really happy with this. I think that's basically the first stage of storage complete. I think I've just got to start the decorations, so I've got to go get the materials for that. I'm really excited about these decorations, but I'm not finished with this build quite yet, so at some point I will have to tear down what is not complete, but I want to wall all of this off, get a ceiling in here, actually 2 ceilings in here, and finish this, because I've spent 3 weeks on this, and it's still not done. And it probably won't be done even after that. I've got a lot of room here with this water elevator right here to route anything around, and then I've also got a little bit of room down here to do as much expanded sorting as I want underneath, so I can have as many ice tracks down here as I want with simple sorters as well. But I've also got the ice track actually sending back up here, which means that I would be able to drop all the items through here, and I might even need to dig down just a little bit further, but everything seems to work out right now. So I'm going to get all these filters done. I'm going to get all the decorations finished, but I am extremely happy that this is finally coming to a point where I can start unloading my storage. And, I mean, this thing has just grown since I started using it. I just kept placing boxes over here since I started my storage. It's getting pretty unwieldy, and I really need that to go away as well. It took me about 2 hours as well to sort my map out. I just tore it down quickly when we planned to destroy my house, and I just wanted to make sure I saved it, but I didn't take the time to properly save it. I just threw it in a chest. A lot of this being bare bones made it really difficult, and it's a really fun puzzle, but I don't really want to do it again, so I've got my maps now sorted out properly with light gray panes in here to where it doesn't look like there's anything there, but it prevents me from mixing the maps up in any way, shape, or form. I have the ability to also make this 1 wide, so I can make a 9x9 map and still keep it in that chest, but if I go any further than that, I'm going to need 4 double chests to start doing that kind of a map. Start clearing out the boxes that are in here. I actually need the shulker boxes that are back here. I actually need them for the system over there. I have so many boxes back here that, well, I think the only way we can go about this is destroying us all. It's time to go. Goodbye, old storage. So I just did some testing, and I'm actually super happy with this system. The unloader below and the item grouper are working flawlessly in a way that there's always room for the next batch to be sorted. So even if I get bursts of items in really weird quantities, there's enough time between all this ice track stuff and the redstone below that it'll still have room to put the items in here, which is really nice because I was expecting it to break. I actually expected the hopper to have cooldown. And between boxes, there's still plenty of time between breaking a box and starting the next batch that it'll still have time to sort this properly, which means I will never see items get past this. And if I do, I'm going to look into it. But I've done some extensive testing with some obsidian and some netherrack, and I haven't seen anything slip through yet. I even mixed the boxes with my own creation, and this is working flawlessly. I'm really happy with this. It will sort at hopper speed, but I shouldn't need anything for that personally. That's plenty for me. I still need to set up a lot of the blockers for this. So I've got my X2 filters here. That way they don't conflict with the ones below. I have X1s right here, and I have X2s up here, just so that they can never group. If that system ever receives an extra item and this gets out of sync, it'll likely cause a lot more problems that I don't want to deal with. So I got to make sure I'm using different filters for those. I've also got to set the palace order. This is going to be the biggest part of my time spent here, as I need to figure out which items I have the most of, or, this was probably going to be dedicated to farming alone. Originally, I had stuff in here for, stone and andesite and stuff, but I won't see enough of these 3 blocks in here to have reason to sort them in the palace order, so I'm going to remove those as well and reconfigure this a little bit differently to where I have all my farmables coming through here, like redstone and cobblestone, stuff like that. Which means at some point I might be putting dried kelp that is over here, over there. I have a lot more work to do on the storage system as well. I've spent a lot of time planning this and working on a few other projects, and I'm not sure that this is going to be anywhere near the final stage. I'm going to start going down here in creative and see where I can fit in some other interesting components, because I want to be able to have access to some of the stuff I don't have a lot of, rather than having to find where it's at in the storage system and picking the boxes apart like that, because that doesn't seem very smart to have a system like that. And I've still got plenty of room down here. I can just rework the water stream to go over here first and then loop it right back into the same spot here. Like, no big deal. I could have 4 segments into here is what I'm thinking. That should give me plenty of room. I can dedicate this half to shulker loading and palace storage over here as well. There's a lot of options here. But I've got a big project I want to start, and I've got to get the decorations for it. So the holidays are over, and I'm happy. I'm really excited for the next stage of this. But I've really got to get the decorations planned, and there's a lot of materials I still don't have. So I've got to get to work on that. I don't thank you guys very much for watching this video. It's been kind of a short one and a little bit all over the place, but the holidays kind of messed that up just a little bit. So I'll see you guys in the next episode.